Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Wellness Wednesdays with me, Yehudis Schamroth. I'm going to hold on just a minute because it's not quite 11. I want to just transfer the video over to another page. I'm having a little bit of computer trouble, which is my usual modus operandi. I am not a tech person, and I want to make sure I can pass it along manually this time because I can't do it otherwise at the moment. All right, here we go. Trying it one more time. Acupuncture is my Facebook page, quickly. And then I want to pass it on to my regular sorry. Just keep losing it. Come on. I just want to share it. Come on. You can do it. Yeah, I'm going to have to do manual uploads of YouTube as well. I just kind of lost my program and I didn't renew in time. That was my problem. So don't worry. It's going to go on YouTube the last 3 weeks. And it's just taking a long time here. Okay, now I'll be ready to get started. 1 second here. Passing it along. There we go. Excellent. Here I am. Okay, now I'm back. I'm back. Now I hope everybody can hear me because I did test everything before. Let's just test our camera and microphone again. Audio, audio, audio. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Okay, everybody. Good morning. Once again, welcome back to Wellness Wednesdays with me, Yehudis Schamroth. Now I'm 1 minute after 11. Speaking to you from Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel. I am the nurse, anesthetist actually, of 35 years, who has turned to Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So here in these parts of the world, I'm known as the nurse that does acupuncture and work in an integrative approach to taking care of people and helping them heal from the inside out with finding the root cause. And also keeping the medical model in mind, combining the two whenever possible, wherever possible. Today, our episode today is immune building post-COVID. So we're going to go back to COVID discussions again. I used to do a lot in the very beginning because that's when I started. But now I realize that people are really having a lot of questions on how to stay healthy and prepare themselves for any other incoming, oncoming onslaught of viruses. My husband has a weakened resistance. We all had corona. And he's got something called CMV right now. He's been tired for 2.5 weeks with the blood tests. We thought it was just tired because we've been working hard. Finally, blood testing took a few days and the results and things. He has CMV, which is cytomegalovirus, which only occurs to people who are really run down. And the virus then stays with you forever. It's in the herpes family. And it stays dormant in your body until you have times of stress. And actually, according to his blood tests, he's had this before, but we just didn't know it, or he didn't know it. So in any case, he's laying on the couch 6 hours a day. He's doing fine. He's getting better every day, getting stronger and stronger. Thank God he's a healthy 60-year-old man otherwise. So I think thank God for that. But some people do much worse off if they don't keep up their immune system. And I have to be honest, neither one of us have been particularly good about just keeping up with our COVID recommendations as far as supplements and sleep and all the good things you're supposed to do. I'm going to cover right now. I covered before. I'm going to cover right now. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go to the slideshows, which I do a little bit of that every week. Okay, so today we're going to talk about immune building post-COVID pandemic, okay? So we know that we're quickly, hopefully approaching the light at the end of the tunnel for this pandemic itself. And as more people get vaccinated and the seasons change and hopefully any mutations or variants become less problematic for us, we'll see less and less of it. So this virus, this SARS COVID-19 version of the SARS virus. And it is a SARS virus. This is a variation. COVID-19 just means it was discovered in the year 2019. That could be a COVID-20. There could be a COVID-21, 22. We know we have variants and mutants also from different countries, South Africa, India, all these places. So these are variations on a theme, as they say. But we are talking about the current pandemic that is winding down, God willing, please God. This virus, SARS-CoV-19, is giving us an unexpected run for our money, by the way. It has so many twists and turns in this pandemic. You know, I've been a nurse and a nurse anesthetist for over 30 years, and I have seen people in the ICU with terrible viruses, with like things like what my husband has, cytomegalovirus or Epstein-Barr or SARS viruses and all these things. And people, we knew how to deal with it. We knew how to almost predict what their symptoms would be and how to treat them in the ICU and what antibiotics would need and what kind of hydration and what kind of recuperation they would have. We knew all that stuff, but there's been so many surprises to this. I told my friend once, and maybe she told me, I don't know, but one thing we know for sure about this virus is that we don't know anything because it changes every day. In the beginning of 2020, in March, you know, in February, we were out joking about it. We have a holiday in the Jewish community, in the Jewish world, it's called Purim, and people were wearing Corona costumes, Corona beer costumes. Ha, 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 wasn't that funny? And then in March, wow, did we get hit very, very hard, and people get very sick, and then we shut everything down, and we all went into isolation. It was just the scariest thing in the world. And in fact, my son, now here we are in May of 2021, my son is coming back from America just this afternoon. He had 2 vaccines in America, and when he comes here today, he's going to have to stay in isolation for 12 days unless he can test not just negative for corona, but also serology to see his immunity testing as well, which is costing a lot of money, but we don't want him to sit here in the house for 12 days. But it's just still a very serious thing. It's a very, very serious thing that we've had to deal with. It's changed so many times. It's taken us by surprise. Even the most experienced people, we thought at first it was a respiratory virus. And then we saw people were having blood clots, strokes, heart problems, kidney failure. It wasn't normal what was happening. And it wasn't what was happening with previous viruses. So then it became known as the vascular virus as well, because there was so much blood vessel damage. So it kept changing definitions, changing treatments. It wasn't just the elderly. It wasn't just the people with pre-existing conditions like diabetes and thyroid disease and anemias and all that. It was people, it could have been really healthy young people, like God forbid my son or my children in their 20s. They did get it. Many people did. In fact, again, I mentioned my whole family had it. My 2-month-old baby granddaughter at the time had it. She did very well with it. None of us had very extreme cases, thank God. We all got over it very quickly. But the rules were changing right before our very eyes. So people who presented with so many different symptoms, including lung problems, vascular problems, digestive, liver, kidney, low oxygen saturations, blood clots, it made it so difficult to treat because there were so many different symptoms, and it was really hard to explain what was happening. And so why did it cause so many problems? We want to know. Why did this particular virus cause so many problems? I don't really think we have an answer to that, but we do know that one thing, they've been doing lots of research recently, that because it has a big effect on the blood vessels, and we know that organ systems were shutting down. People died. You know how many people died of this. And in fact, in Israel right now, we're way under control over the rest of the world. I've heard it from other sources, not just me, but we are probably the best controlled country, maybe because we're a small country and we got our vaccines going quickly. Nearly the whole population who wants to be vaccinated is vaccinated. And nobody's forced into it, but if they want it, it's available to them. And we were down from thousands of cases a day to about 10 cases a day now. And then also 0 deaths, which is unbelievable. We're so happy about that. But we do know that the organs were affected very badly. And, and then people had other issues too, like racing heart, muscle weakness, nausea, vomiting, with no explanation on very previously healthy people. And they recovered. But we do know one thing, and this is what the research is showing, is that because blood vessels are connected to every organ, and if the blood vessels are damaged, the internal lining of the blood vessels are called the epithelial cells. It's a 1 cell thick, very tiny thick, thin lining of the inside of the blood vessels. If they're destroyed and they're full of inflammation, and these blood vessels are going to the organs, this is why we're having the organ damage. So that's really the only thing they know for sure, is why are we having organ damage and all these problems? Different people are reacting differently. We don't know that reason, but it could be because different people have different constitutions, which I spoke about at length last week. Constitution that you're born with can really determine your lifelong medical history. Some people are extremely strong and can withstand many, many illnesses over their lives without really affecting them so much. And some people were just born with very bad digestion or asthma or something like this. There are seizures. There are things that you're born with or you have family history of, and you can't do anything about it. You have to learn to work with it. Everybody can do what they can do to take care of their own particular problem. So there's no one size fits all diet or plan, or even immune building plan for that matter. But we do know there's some things we can generalize about. Is if you take good care of your health in general, you can fight these viruses so much better. So then before we go on to the preventative and the immune building in this setting, there's such a thing now happening called post-COVID syndrome. I see many patients coming to me for acupuncture and relief from pain on the left side of their body, or headaches out of nowhere, or digestive problems, all reacting differently. And it's usually even after they had a healthy recovery, like where healthy people got corona, recovered, and they thought they were fully recovered. And then a few months later, there they were with all these terrible symptoms that that for some people are debilitating. If you look at some YouTubes, there was a 60-minute interview on people who have this post-corona syndrome. You want to cry because they're miserable and they can't function. It's so horrible. I really had no idea the extent of this myself. And in fact, there's something else I wasn't aware of. People who have bizarre, more than 100 symptoms ranging from brain fog to chronic fatigue, digestive issues, seizures, blood clots, kidney and liver damage. So we know this is something called long hauler syndrome, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But so this post-COVID thing, just when we thought we knew we could get a handle on just the current situation, now we realize people are getting, they're not getting a resurgence of the disease. They're getting symptoms from the organ damage caused by the corona damage to the blood vessels. This is what it's about. And when we take vaccines too, some people are having terrible reactions to the vaccines. My nephew, healthy boy, doesn't do a lot of exercise. I don't know how he eats. He's only 25. He was sick for 3 months after the vaccine. 6 for 3 months. And yet there are other people who are healing faster from the vaccine. And we don't know what that's doing, but we know that there's some people that could do better after the vaccine, and it heals their symptoms. It defies, any kind of logic. We don't have the answers. And even though it wasn't the most fatal disease out there, we know there have been pandemics before in the past. These people who are anti-vaxxers say, you're all making it up, you're blowing it out of proportion. Well, look, talk to the people who died, families of the people who died, and you tell them it was not such a big deal, okay? Because I would never dare to do that. This was a terrible disease. It is a terrible disease, continues to be. We have to continue taking care of ourselves because we don't know what's coming down next. Hopefully this is over and we can look back and say, wasn't that awful? And let's just take care of ourselves in the future. Okay. So, and last but not least, again, going back to that topic of people who, after having corona, have multiple medical issues later on, they've been labeled a long hauler syndrome. Long haul, like the long haul of the truckers that work at night in America. So, but long hauler, the definition of long hauler syndrome is basically like a chronic disease syndrome that people have gotten once, after having corona and even recovered from it. So once you have the system-wide damage and inflammation or imbalances, it's clearly what's happening to these poor people. Again, we don't fully understand it. It's very hard to treat. Again, they're starting to study the blood vessels to see how they can repair the blood vessels on these people. There are clinics in New York and Los Angeles and other cities in America where they take care of nobody but post-corona syndrome people. They call themselves long haulers. The people who have these post-corona syndrome people that are sent back home by their doctors. We can't help you. We don't know what's wrong with you. There shouldn't be anything wrong with you. Unbelievable, because, and I'm not blaming the medical people, but we've never seen this before, never. And so there are people who are paying attention to these long haulers who have this post-corona syndrome, who have a lot of medical issues, and they're trying to help them by, first of all, starting with a lot of controversial and experimental healing things like oxygen therapy and nitric oxide therapy, and anything they can do to decrease the inflammation and in the blood vessels and in the nerves. So if you're having this problem, I don't really have the contact information, but I will certainly help you find where you can go to. And you should watch the 60 Minutes interview on people with post-corona syndrome or long hauler syndrome, and they might have the very information you're looking for. And people should listen to you, and people should help you. And I hope you're healed, and I hope you can be relieved of this terrible disease after the disease. Okay, so what we want to do today is we want to know how we're going to fortify the body, how we're going to keep it going. So, all right, here we are, my slides. We want to talk a little bit about our immune system. I've done many episodes here already. It's been almost a year, I guess. I've spoken about the immune system at length and healthy foods and immune boosting foods and anti-inflammatory foods, but I'm going to review it again because it's really important. So just as an overview of immunity, The immune system is here to protect you. We know the immune system is found in all different organs of the body, like the thyroid, like the spleen, like the digestive system, and all of the various areas of the body. But we do have to make a real big effort, especially now more than ever, to keep it healthy. Okay. Acute infection, when it happens, okay, we have two different types of immunity. One is called innate immunity and one is called adaptive. Okay, so just like it's defined, innate means something that you already have inside of you. And this immunity includes the immune protections that you're born with. So we talked a lot about how 80% of the immune system is actually found in the small intestine. I did a whole series on gut health. And if you know that 80% of your immune system is in the digestive system. Oh, thank you, Susan Lewis. For people in Israel, there's a clinic at Hadassah Hospital it's called Long COVID. Thank you very much. I didn't realize it was coined that. Thank you so much, Susan. So we'll find a list of places for you if you want to contact me on the chat. Okay, so we have innate immunity and we have adaptive immunity. And so we know that the small intestine houses all the good and bad bacteria. And when the bad bacteria overruns the good bacteria, you have a lot of digestive issues. Not just that, but you have a poor immunity because all your immune function comes from that area. And also, we mentioned before, not only it behooves you to take good care of your intestine because that's where all your neurotransmitters are also forming. So if you have poor digestion, you can also know that this could be where your depression, ADHD, and insomnia, and all these other issues are coming from, anxieties. Okay, so they say that if you're born by C-section, you don't get the immunity from your mother. If your mother didn't breastfeed you, don't feel guilty. Don't make your mother feel guilty. My mother never breastfed any of us because in the 1950s, they told her it was a bad idea. It was really boring, and they didn't realize the extent of how wonderful it was to nurse the babies and how much immunity could be passed by. So anyway, people who are born by C-section didn't get nursed. People who had a lot of early childhood illnesses, or their parents were not in great shape when they were born, they weren't born with a good immunity either. So they may be the types that are setups for being sick over and over. Okay, so the first line of defense with the innate immune system includes the barriers that shield the inner body from the outside world. So these barriers, of course, are the skin, the mucus, the nails. Those are our outside barriers. And so the second line of defense is our cellular innate response. This response contains white blood cells, and you can think of them as soldiers, they're called. They digest and they kill all the foreign substances. Think of those soldiers marching through your body, killing the foreign substances and also cleaning them up. So the cellular innate response also can be use inflammation to fight because all this blood rushes to the area and it becomes inflamed. And so that's a good thing at first. We call them cytokines. Okay, there's something called cytokines that are they are small proteins that are produced by some cells in the body, and they are released in response, to endocrine problems, immune problems, and inflammatory problems. But if it has overproduction because there's so much overriding in the body, so much virus taking over the body, you can have something you've probably heard of called a cytokine storm. And without getting into a real lot of details, because it's very complicated, cytokines, who are supposed to be cleaning up all the bad bacteria and all the viruses in your body, they go from bringing inflammation to the area to kill the invaders, but they overwork, and so they start more and more inflammation in the body and cause more than you had to begin with. And if they produce at a higher rate than normal, these cytokines, and this excess can lead to organ damage. It just damages the organs. So this is a secondary response to the virus that's already attacking your body. Anyway, that's just a side thing. So adaptive immunity, as you can see here, can be thought of our third line of immune defense. It's comprised of protective mechanisms that adjust depending on what we're exposed to. So there are specialized white blood cells called B lymphocytes responsible for creating antibodies that neutralize the toxins and other foreign substances. So the adaptive immune responses comes into play when, depending on where you live and what you eat and what kind of lifestyle you have, and the adaptive helps increase the T lymphocytes in your body, which are really important. They're called killer cells, okay? So this part of the immune system is engaged also with immunizations. That'll give them too. So this is not an immunization talk. I have all four of them, by the way. You probably won't want to hear that, but I think everybody should be immunized if they can. But I'm not holding it against you if you don't. I think everybody should choose. Okay, So just again, to remind everybody that 80% of your immune system is located in your digestive tract. So making a healthy gut a major focal point. This is what Dr. Mercola says, and everybody else too. So just remember, take good care of your digestion, and go look at my recording of the gut health, because it was a very, very in-depth discussion about how to take care of it. Okay, so let's just talk about immunity and diet. So because COVID-19 vaccine is still rampant in a lot of parts of the world, like India, I have friends in India on Facebook, I don't know them, but those poor people are really suffering right now, and they tell me that their kids have just been diagnosed and they can't go anywhere, and they're way behind. They don't have vaccine access. I don't know what's going to happen to my poor friends on Facebook, but they're telling me to please pray for them from Jerusalem. It's like, oh, it's heartbreaking, because it's still going on in many parts of the world. But because of that, it's imperative to strengthen our immune system. People are starting to travel again. And one of the most effective methods to enhance your immune system is through your diet. So consume primarily vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. There's a lot of foods I'm going to talk about that do boost immunity. And some of the most noteworthy immune-enhancing ones are, of course, I'm going to cover white button mushrooms, garlic, aged garlic, pomegranate juice, broccoli, guava, and oranges. I'm going to go through them. And so we talked about mushrooms a lot before, that mushrooms is like little unassuming little white button mushroom has tons of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory potential. So does garlic. So I eat both of those every single day. That's the one thing that I keep remembering to do. I don't always remember to take my vitamin D and zinc and all that, but I certainly incorporate those foods into my diet. It's very easy to do, and I love them. So each of those things pack a really good immune punch when it comes to immune support, and they contain several bioactive processes that help decrease inflammation, and they stimulate the immune system to work better. Okay, so garlic is important. I'm going to talk about that. Pomegranate juice is loaded with all this beneficial bacteria, the good bacteria that we want. So we know, and pomegranate is indigenous to Israel. We have it a lot. It's very natural for us to reach for a pomegranate juice or a fresh pomegranate, especially around the high holidays, which we call Rosh Hashanah. And that's one of the main foods that we eat at the table. It happens to be one of the healthiest foods in the world. Okay, it's used as immunotherapy for some people. So other methods to improve your immune function are, of course, diet is one way to strengthen, but it's even more effective when you combine with good physical activity, stress reduction techniques, and proper sleep. So they say try to exercise 30 minutes a day. So now listen, if you can really do this. I mean, if you do exercise 1 minute a day, it's not going to really help you. 30 minutes is preferable. Or if you drink 12 sodas a day and you go down to 10, that's really not the most ideal either. Just like really try to cut them down as much as you can. This is the time in our lives and time in our history where we really have to take the bull by the horns. We can't mess around anymore. We don't know what's coming next. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom. I'm a very upbeat person, but I want you to know that I don't think this is over 100%, and hope it is. Hope it is. God willing, it is. But maybe this is the time that God wants us to pay attention to our bodies and our healthy lifestyles, and to get into gear to do the right thing, and maybe cut out, get a hold of these companies who are making all this junk that is really poisoning our system, in addition to making us unhealthy. Okay. So we know prevention is the best medicine, and we consider general health maintenance. Okay, it's a good time to start thinking about that. If you haven't already, we want to make sure the immune system is on that list. And with the increasing awareness that immune support is important, it's an important building block for healthcare prevention. We believe this will be a very sharp contrast between the pre and post COVID-19 consideration. And we hope that the immune supports, that people are going to be way more. I've never seen such awareness about immune support before, and I think it's fantastic. I'm one of the people that are doing it too, but I'm following everybody out there like Dr. William Lee and Mark Hyman and all kinds of people. There's even this guy that you're going to love. His name is, I don't even know his name. It's called the Medical Medium. He's kind of a kooky guy, but he has amazing health information. I posted it there. I'm going to see if I can make sure that you all see those. I'm sorry, somebody was mentioning, Hazel was mentioning she can't see the chat. I don't know why, but it should be on Facebook. Okay, it's probably on my Facebook acupuncture page, Hazel. I'll make sure you see it. Okay, so this COVID-19 pandemic has brought a new way of thinking to us about preventative care, and building strong immune systems will be in the future the necessary part of the way that we live, as I said before. So luckily, some of the best ways, of course, is to be able to eat better foods and a good supplementation. Foods rich in antioxidants that you can purchase just about everywhere. It doesn't have to be organic, but that's probably preferable if you're very sick or you're likely to be, you're worried, but you had the recurrence of the COVID-19 or you had the post-COVID syndrome. I would switch to organic if it was me. I really would, because I think you're going to get much healthier food and no pesticides and way greater chance of decreasing the inflammation and building the immunity in your body. So, okay, so obviously we've talked about a lot of the foods. Now, Dr. Lee, who you can look up, Dr. William Lee, he's amazing. He's a physician. He was an emergency room doctor, and he's also a neuroscientist, and he's also a cardiac or a vascular researcher. And he's the one that did all this research on what we should do to help cure these people who are in the ICUs, because he says it's a vascular disease. It's not really only respiratory, and he's in the forefront of all the research. So he's come up with all these great eating. He's got a book out there called Eat to Beat Disease. He doesn't even know me. I don't know why I'm giving you a commercial for this, but I purchased the book and I took a course from him because I love everything he says. He says, just start taking better care of yourself, basically. He says there's no such thing as a superfood or a super supplement. And why does he say that? Because he says, meaning there's no one food that gives you all the nutrition you need. Okay? It doesn't solve all your health problems. So diversity is very important. So in fact, our bodies thrive on diversity, and the more varied our diets are, the more our ecosystem and our intestinal tract will maintain its optimum health. So just remember, don't just live on one thing like the green tea here in this picture, which is fantastic. I drink it every day. I tell people, if you don't want to drink green tea, then I'll tell you a secret of how to drink it, because it'll combine with your water drinking as well. But we know it increases immunity, prevents infection, it boosts metabolism. There's so many benefits to drinking green tea all day, every day. This is one of Dr. Lee's favorite thing to promote, and mine too now. It says removes bad cholesterol, reduces diabetes risks, it helps you with weight loss. It prevents Alzheimer's. Now, it doesn't prevent, but it really helps because it decreases inflammation in the body. This is why you're going to see better health overall. Stimulates long and healthy stresses, improves your memory and alertness because it helps the neurotransmitters work properly. So what I do is I want to make sure I drink my 1.5 liters a day or more. So I take a cup of water out of this bottle, and I make a strong cup of green tea, and I add it to this bottle, and I start drinking it. And before you know it, by noontime or something, I can't today because I'm talking right now, but before you know it, by the mid-afternoon, my bottle will be empty, and I will have had my water and I'll have my green tea at the same time. And it's delicious. You can get flavored green teas too. You can get raspberry and mango and stuff, and it's really good for you. So I just want to mention, okay, here's Dr. Lee's approach to it. He says you can eat to beat disease. And again, I better get a hold of him so I can get permission to say all these things. You probably wouldn't mind that I'm promoting his book. Green leafy vegetables, especially broccoli and cruciferous, okay? They have the most immune boosting power. Eat the whole plant, eat the stems, eat the sprouts. I wish I could get broccoli sprouts here in this country. I just haven't been able to do it yet. You want to eat kale, Swiss chard, arugula, cabbage, cauliflower, collard greens. They all have a substance in them called sulforaphane, which has been associated with all kinds of health benefits and can reduce cancer as well, heart disease, diabetes, and improve digestion. We spoke about the mushrooms before. You can have amazing immune benefits from mushrooms. So any ones you choose. It doesn't have to be the white button mushrooms, the portobello, the shiitake, all those. These little mushrooms are packed with beta-glucan, which is an amazing component. It's antifungal, and it's antiviral and anti-inflammatory. Really, eat them every day. I do. I think it's amazing. Ever since he enlightened me, I'm on that. I do eat. I was eating a lot of mushrooms anyway, so now I insist on doing it every day. Tomatoes. Okay, tomatoes always get a bad rep because they fall into the nightshade category, and they make people. They feel like it's pro-inflammatory for people who have arthritis. So if you can't have it because of that reason, I'm not sure they've even convinced. I'm not convinced that's actually true, because not everybody agrees with that. But I do know people who have told me that when they go off of tomatoes, their joints feel better. So if you can't eat tomatoes, sorry, but the red, it's got the quercetin in it. That's anti-inflammatory component. And tomatoes also have something called lycopene, which is amazing nutrient, which is also provides you with all kinds of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits, okay? Tree nuts, I don't know if they're on this. Yeah, tree nuts are to the bottom right of this picture. Tree nuts are all the nuts that grow on trees, not on the ground. They're great sources of dietary fiber, which we know are the food that supplements the nutrition for prebiotics. So you hear prebiotics and probiotics. Probiotics are the great bacteria that help the digestion and help keep you healthy in your small intestine and help the immunity and help your digestion. Regular probiotics. But how does probiotics get strong? You have to eat something called prebiotics. It's confusing. But prebiotics are pretty much all fiber foods. Anything that has fiber, like celery, like apples, like nuts, anything that has a fiber component to it, that's the food or the nutrition, if you will, for the probiotics. So if you keep that in mind, you will always do well with your digestion as well. So you can eat walnuts, pecans, macadamia nuts, especially healthy fats, pine nuts, cashews. They all contain the greatly needed fiber that we need, okay? And also the polyunsaturated fatty acids as well, because we need those omega-6 for your brain health. We went through this before. Omega-6 fatty acids are essential for brain function. You can get that from nuts. Careful, they're high caloric, a lot of high calories. But so you just have to pace yourself. And if you're on a diet, then you have to be careful. If you're not on a diet, have fun. Okay, talked about the green tea. It lowers your cancer risk, protects your DNA. It's amazing. Just green tea is the best. He also says coffee has fantastic health benefits. You can reduce your risk of diabetes with it. And that because caffeine stimulates the central nervous system and boosts production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline, which elevate your mood. So it's good for you. Okay, and it decreases glucose tolerance. And it says, though, he says it gives a little warning, do not drink decaf coffees. And I have a lot of friends who do. I never do. But decaf coffees and teas, he says, are not healthy. So the solvents that are used to extract the caffeine and solvents, they should never be ingested. They're toxic chemicals. And they cause more inflammation in your body, by the way. So you don't want to have decaf coffee. Sorry, people. Chocolate, he promotes chocolate and coffee. He says, eat the darkest 80% chocolate to reap the health benefits. Chocolate contains a substance called cacao that is packed with polyphenols and flavonols. Okay. And of course, we have our berries. I don't have a picture of the berries on here. I guess it's on the previous slide. We have berries on here. Well, where are my berries? I'm sorry about that. Berries are like essential. I just wrote a blog post about this. Berries are essential they're loaded with antioxidants, and they clean up all the free radicals, and they're anti-inflammatory. You eat a handful of them a day. Blueberries, raspberries, any kind of berries, strawberries even. They're very high in vitamin C and antioxidants, and they have a lot of proven health benefits, and they can even lower your blood pressure. I'm sorry, I don't have a slide about the berries, but they do say that if you have one apple a day, you get like 60 units of some kind of antioxidant. I'm not sure the measurement scale, but if you do a handful or a cup of blueberries or raspberries a day, even if it's frozen, they still have the same nutritional content. Frozen is fine. You will have about 650 units of antioxidant power. So eat your berries and put them in everything you can if you want to. Your smoothies and your ice creams, even in your desserts, your cereals. Okay. Okay, another thing, kiwis. Let me go back to see kiwis on our thing. No, I don't have kiwis on here. Yeah, kiwis on there. They're small fruits. They pack a lot of flavor and plenty of health benefits. Their green flesh is sweet and tangy and also full of nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin E, folate, and potassium. They also have a lot of antioxidants and are a good source of fiber, and the small black seeds are edible. Okay, and then they say guava is also antioxidant, and we talked a little bit already about pomegranate, the best, okay, the best juice in the world, the healthiest. Okay, I want to go to quickly on the supplements because I'm running out of time. No, I'm not running out of time, but I want to get to it. Okay, so immunity support supplements. All right, all along in the COVID, we've been saying vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and quercetin, and probiotics. Okay, those are about the 4 or 5 main things that we really, really want to keep in our system at all times. Every functional medicine doctor agrees, and even the regular medical doctors are now starting to agree that we don't eat enough nutrient-rich foods, period. We just don't, because we're in a hurry. We eat a lot of processed foods, and not only that, the whole foods that we do eat sometimes are not as nutrient-dense and rich as they were when our grandparents were eating those same foods, because the ground is not as nutrient-rich. We're depleted in a lot of ways. And they don't do a lot of crop rotation. So you get the same crop growing over and over in the same place and depleting the ground of that one mineral and vitamin. Look, we need supplements. This is the bottom line. We need supplements whether we have coronavirus or not, whether we need to build immunity or not. Supplements, we just don't eat a healthy, rich diet anymore like we used to. And again, that's another fact we have to face. We are just living in a time and place where things aren't as healthy. Organic is probably the best. Again, this would be the best, closest thing to what our parents and grandparents ate. Okay, we always want to talk about vitamin C. It helps prevent viral, bacteria, and other infections by shortening the duration of colds and acting as a natural antihistamine and anti-inflammatory. Okay, tart cherries, guava, peppers, kiwi, oranges, of course, strawberries. Eat a lot of these for build up your vitamin C. This is going to help build your immunity. Vitamin D. I heard one person one time complain about the vitamin D that I was talking about. They said it's not proven, but everywhere else you look to see what you should be taking now as supplements says vitamin D. I'm going to go with the majority, okay? Vitamin D is one of the most important immune system strengthening nutrients that can reduce the risk of colds and flu. It should be taken on a regular basis. And I know my daughter gives it to her baby since birth. So even though everybody in the medical community is all caught on to it now, you can find vitamin D in tuna and shrimp and cod liver oil, mushrooms again, oysters, egg yolks, a lot of eggs and salmon, cereal, oatmeal, and then there's, of course, supplements, which I'll cover again right before we finish. Okay. Okay, so there's zinc. Zinc, an essential trace mineral that plays an important role in cellular metabolism, immune function, neurotransmission, hormone balance, and tissue repair. It's antioxidant. It helps the body fight off and recover from simple colds and coughs more quickly. It also helps cells to communicate with each other. Okay. Providing a stronger basis for intercellular immune function. So zinc is something that's really crucial to take. I know people that say they started taking zinc in higher amounts and their sore throats, their lifetimes of sore throats went away and their frequent colds went away. We knew this, they sell this product over the counter in America. I can't remember the name of it now, but it comes in it looks like Tums, but it's in a roll, and it's a cold fighting thing. They say if you're on an airplane flight, you should take this little supplement. It's all zinc. That's all it is zinc and vitamin C together. So it helps with sore throats. And zinc is you have to take it as a supplement because you can't get it into food. Okay, you have to know this. Cannot get it in food, or very rarely can you get it in food. Okay, so let's. Okay, this is the supplement thing I usually share. I haven't in a while because we've been not talking. We've been trying to hope that COVID was going away. We were right. Okay, so here's what we recommend with the doctors now and all the alternative doctors, regular doctors. If you're going to take a supplement, which is recommended, these are the most helpful for immune function building. Okay, you want to take a multivitamin. Okay, it's got good minerals and multivitamins in it. Now, there's a lot every day. I personally have a hard time taking all these supplements. My stomach starts to get very upset, and I have a great stomach. So I have to space it all out during the day, and then I forget sometimes. But really, if you could do all this, kol hakavod, as they say in Hebrew, or good, more power to you in English. Okay, you want to take a multivitamin. You want to take vitamin C, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. Vitamin D, you want to take 1,000 to 4,000 a day, depending on what your status is at the moment. If you're just preventative, you can go with 1,000. You should take it in what they call the vitamin D3 form. It's absorbed better. Some people take liquid because that is even absorbed even better. That's what my daughter gives her little baby. That's what I also take for myself under my tongue because I can't stand all those pills. So liquid, I get very welcome for me to take a liquid under my tongue. I'm very happy to do that. If you're having an active viral infection right now, take 4,000 units a day. And if you take liquid D3 with vitamin K, of course, that's even better. So zinc. Zinc is a good standard dose of 20 milligrams a day. Zinc, I forgot to mention that one of the amazing things about zinc is that it makes the it freezes them, the pathogens, and makes them docile. So, because again, we don't get it in our food, so it's really important to take. And you can step this up there. I don't never heard of zinc toxicity from anybody. All right, there's something called Quercetin Absorbate. This is the best form to take it in. It's digested better and it's absorbed better. And quercetin is a naturally occurring anti-inflammatory substance that is found in most red foods. I covered this a couple of courses ago. Quercetin, you'll see it in tomatoes, anything red, strawberries, apples, anything that's red color, fruit, even trying to think, peppers, red peppers, and anything, any red, I can't think, any red food you can think of, you can find quercetin in. But if you feel like you need an additional boost of vitamins and anti-inflammatory and immune building, take some quercetin every day. Melatonin, I never heard of that until recently, just to help people sleep at night. So because the better night's sleep you get, the more power you have of rejuvenating your body. And probiotics, so my same mantra every single week is to take a probiotic that's also a prebiotic. It's 1 pill a day, and you don't have to worry about eating all that fiber then to feed your probiotics. And you just want to take care of your digestive system, because that's where 80% of your immune system is. Okay, one last thing. We want to talk about immune building strategies as well as the food. Not just the food alone is not going to help you. Okay. Exercising regularly, they know that helps blood vessel health, which we know is a blood vessel disease. You want to increase the health of your blood vessels by exercising. Okay, and moderate, 150 minutes, moderate a week, however you want to distribute it. Eating healthy, balanced, like we talked about, with more fresh fruits, whole foods if you can. Get rid of any packaged foods and any kind of processed foods if you can. Or, eat as less as you can. You can't always cut it out completely. I'm on a diet right now because my son's getting married in a couple months, so I have cut it out completely. And it's not been that terrible. I miss it a little bit, but it's not been that bad. Okay, you want to maintain a healthy weight if you can. BMI of 25 or lower. You want to get good quality sleep. Try to go to bed, get a good 7 hours if you can. If you have problems with sleep, or you have insomnia, or you wake up a certain hour of the day, Chinese medicine says, they have a Chinese clock, which I'm going to go through one time, and you'll see if you wake up at certain hours of the night, that means that organ system needs some kind of attention, like 3 o'clock in the morning, let's say. If you wake up every night at 3 o'clock, that's your liver needs some attention. And so it goes on like that for all the organs. So you might want to visit a Chinese medicine specialist to get an herbal formula to help you with regulating your sleep and getting to the root cause of your insomnia. That's the most important thing. You want to try to reduce stress, which is a little big joke and a big laugh for people in our generation, but you have to. You have to learn meditation. You have to go for a long walk. You have to just give yourself some quiet time away from computers and things. Stress just makes everything much worse, and of course, it wreaks havoc on the immune system as well. Try to quit smoking. If you smoke, try to get support. I'm taking care of a few patients now who are trying to quit smoking with acupuncture and herbs, and we're having success because I also insist they go see a therapist at the same time. You want to approach it from a couple different ways. You need support. You need some emotional support during a time when you're quitting. I did it myself many years ago, and that's one of my reasons I believe in God. It's my joke, but it's true. I don't know how I ever quit smoking. I was a huge smoker. The nurses, we all smoked back in the 1980s. It wasn't a big deal then. And then it was hard for me to quit. But I did, and that's why I believe in God, because it was so addicted. But in any case, please quit smoking. It'll help you overall health. Drinking alcohol. Okay, in moderation. Alcohol destroys your liver. The liver you need for your detoxing, and you need a good detoxification system in your body in order to have a good immune system as well. Okay, this was for my last class. So I just want to wrap up by saying... Oh gosh, I lost my notes. All right, so don't forget about echinacea. Also, that's very immune boosting. Garlic. All right. So we want to review just as a summary. We know we want to reset and repair ourselves, okay? So what do we do to fortify our body, our diet, our lifestyle? And those are the keys to building up our immune system and lowering inflammation and improving circulation and improving the immune system. So in addition, we know that there are things we eat. The things we eat can cause great damage to our immune system, like the processed foods, the processed meats, ultra-processed artificial sweeteners and things. They're terrible for us, and we can just cut them out of our diets completely. It would be amazing, or try to decrease. Try to cut it down. We discussed numerous foods to help build immunity, and some of the most noteworthy immune-enhancing foods include the white mushrooms, the aged garlic, pomegranate juice, broccoli, guava, oranges, all those things. Anything we can do to tip the balance in favor of healing is something we have to do, because these are the pillars that help us regulate our immune system and reduce inflammation and improve overall biological functions in our body. And so despite advances in modern medicine, the best way to prevent further disease is to stay healthy on your own and to focus on changing your lifestyle, to getting rid of bad foods, eating whole foods, meditation, drinking water, getting enough sleep, all the things your mother told you to do. And with that, I'll say goodbye to you, but I want you to look at the sidebar for the information on the medical medium, which I think you'll love his videos. He's a bit of a character, but he gives you these recipes for, he calls them shock therapy. Like I said, he's a bit of a character, but he knows what he's talking about. And shock therapy, zinc shock therapy, and vitamin C shock therapy, and thyme, fresh sprigs of thyme. He puts it in water with lemon juice, soaks it overnight, drinks it all day like I drink my green tea all day long. And he says this is just the best way to build and build and build your immune system. So I would recommend that you check his videos out in the Medical Medium. And you want to also join my WhatsApp group, maybe. There is a link there. I have healthy eating tips and also a lot of things we talk about here and even more. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you next week. We'll be interviewing Tova Eastman, who is a personal trainer specific to moms, busy moms, and she's got a wealth of information. And she will be gracing us with her presence next week and telling us what she knows about the health, keeping ourselves healthy. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Goodbye. I'm going to stop sharing and say goodbye. Ending.